The focus of this research is the well being of animals who end up at the Oahu SPCA and if any differences have been noticed among them within the organization over the past year, especially with the ongoing pandemic. Many animals at the SPCA were either strays or surrendered by previous families. Did you notice maybe an increase in adoption during COVID from people like staying at home and just kind of having that time?
Yeah, definitely. I think it did increase probably like double the amount of adopted animals. Just because people are home, they were, lonely and they wanted a companion, had the time to give to animals. But on the flip side of that, once COVID kind of slowed down a little bit, like there's a lot of surrenders going on.
Yeah.
People are going back to work full time, don't have time for their animals, so they would surrender.
Yeah. What seems to be like the main cause of like surrendering animals at the SPCA?
Yeah, so I think the main cause would be people moving off the island, surrendering their pets due to they can't afford traveling their pets to their new location, or just like their animals are not getting along with their kids or their other pets. But I'd say the biggest reason would be just moving and not being able to have the resources available.
I personally chose the SPCA as my focus of research because animals have consistently been part of my life. Growing up around animals of all sizes and species has allowed me to care for them like family and be concerned about their own well-being while they live with me. How often are animals like found or like just kind of left here at the SPCA?
I would say that happens pretty much, if not daily, at least like 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so oftentimes we'll get like cats kind of dropped off in a box and left at our door. Sometimes we'll have dogs that are left in our yard overnight. So I think, people are desperate, and need to drop their animal off. And if they don't want to go through Hawaiian Humane Society, then they usually try to contact us because we're a no-kill shelter. But with us being a nonprofit and so small, like we're pretty limited on our like kennel space. So, which causes us to have like a big wait list of surrendered animals that are trying to get into our shelter.
According to the Hawaiian Humane Society, 19,337 animals are surrendered to shelters in the state of Hawaii alone. According to the ASPCA, 6.3 million animals are surrendered to shelters in all of the United States. Through the functionalist perspective, having animals that don't serve a working purpose, such as herding, service animals, or guardian breeds, may not be necessary in the household. Do you think there are different things people need to consider when it comes to like different breeds of dogs or different breeds of cats, like that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely different breeds of dogs. Each breed has their own specific needs.
That goes along with age too. Since we are a shelter, we don't only like sell puppies and stuff. So it's like people always want the puppies, but it's like with their time, it's like maybe you want an older dog who has some training, is going to be a little calmer, but everyone just wants the puppies and they don't realize how much work puppies are.
Yeah, like they're super cute when they're young, but they will grow up and they will grow up to have personalities. So it's important to really understand obedience training, potty training, kind of doing like research before just adopting a dog, kind of knowing what it takes.
And not like assuming that all dogs are going to be the same.
Right. And like being a shelter dog, they're not going to be like 100% perfect. Like they're going to have some quirks and stuff, which makes it kind of fun, to see their personalities.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not going to be perfect and they're going to need some work. They're going to be good with certain dogs or not good with certain dogs, vice versa. So.
Do you think there's like any correlation to certain breeds that may get surrendered more than others?
Yes. Pit bulls
Yeah.
are like the number one breed pretty much on this island that we see a lot coming through the shelter. And there's a big percentage of military families here that either get pit bulls from different locations, and then when they come here, it's kind of tricky, especially with the housing. A lot of housing have restrictions, and pit bulls is like number one. There is some conflict among those with favorites in dog breeds. As mentioned, pit bulls are the most surrendered, and the prejudice around pit bulls most likely comes from their stereotype of being more violent and dangerous towards other animals and people. Do you think like this has any effect like on the animals? Like say like an animal is surrendered
multiple times or like even just once, do you think that has some sort of effect on them?
Yes, 100%. Being at the shelter is very nerve-wracking and can make animals very anxious. So it's not like the best environment for them. We do try to do our best to take them out every couple hours, give some playtime, kind of get them out of their kennel, stretch their legs. But being in a home setting and then coming to the shelter, that's a pretty stressful change. And with all the dogs barking all the time, people coming in and out, dogs walking by other kennels, they get kind of riled up and kind of a lot of anxiety issues that we see here. Yeah.
Kind of like that, like the dogs that are coming in and out, we've had a couple who go in and out all the time. And like, so they do really, really good in their homes, but then they come back and they'll get training in their homes and they'll come back and they'll just go right back to how they were before. Like they act like they're never been trained or they're very loud. So it's just like really hard for them to flip back and forth.
Yeah, that's why we look for like our fosters and try to keep up like a good foster program, so that way they get a chance to get out of the shelter, someone works with them if they have like a certain behavior issue. That way they just get more work hands-on, because unfortunately we can't afford having trainers here all the time since we are nonprofit, no government funding or anything, so it's really crucial to have fosters in line for our dogs.
And you want to make sure they have like get used to like that kind of more home environment rather than like kennel type of environment.
Yeah, because the more we can get them used to being in a home setting, the easier to get them adopted out. Yeah.
Through the interactionist perspective, animals have always been a way of tying communities together. Having animals in your daily life can not only spark good conversation, but it allows more opportunity for social interaction with each other as people. People bond over their animals and how they care for them. What do you think like we as people benefit from adopting animals? Like obviously the animal gets, they get a new home, they get a place that's, hopefully at least like loving and caring of them. So what would like we as people who do adopt benefit from that?
Yeah, definitely. There's always that animal-human bond that we're looking for. Making sure there's the right fit, the right home for these animals, and just like adopting and not shopping. Like that's kind of like our main thing, is like we want to take these stray homeless animals off the streets and provide them a second chance. So I think just that alone makes you feel really good, knowing that you're helping not just the animal but our community too.
And when they're with us, we get to know them as if, like, instead of them being with the breeder just gives them out. But when they're with us, we know their personalities, we know what they do best, we know what they work with, if they're good with other animals, their histories. So when they're with us, that we can adopt them out and the adopters can know more.
And then what would you think would be the best way to prevent or, like, at least slow the rate of animal surrendering?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like it comes down to, just having everyone in your family on board when adopting an animal, making sure they're aware of what all it takes, not just simply, feed the dog and, let it sleep. Like, you got to work with him, because they can develop behavior issues if you don't work with them, especially young dogs, like puppies. We do get a lot of puppies surrendered to us because they're like high energy, or like, biting children. But I mean, if you don't work with them, they're going to have puppy energy that needs to be released somehow. So, yeah.